And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that brief moment of reprieve, because we have returned with our decider match of Group B. We're here to determine who makes it through, who is the final player to advance on into the round of 8. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Art. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have the red Zerg player representing Team Platoon. It is Nikich. Oh boy, here we go. Just updating the chat, letting you guys know what is going on. And this is a rematch. This is a rematch from a series they played earlier in Group B. And even though it was a 2-0, if you watched the VOD, if you watched the games previously, I recommend watching the VOD because it was pretty close. It was very back and forth. It was a very close game that they had on Oceanborn. And honestly, there's a world out there where Art could have won that. Art could have won that game. It was so close between the two of them. So even though it started off as a 2-0, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to the ace match, and I wouldn't be surprised if even Art gets revenge. Like, this could still go either way. I do think that both these players are pretty similar in skill, and we'll see where this goes. We'll see who joins Wayne in the round of 8. Oh boy. Here we go. So we do see a bit of a hatch gas pool standard opener out of Nikich. Likewise, we're going for a gate expand into the cyber core here from Art, so standard openers all around. Everything looking normal. Looking as it should. And with that, we should be soon seeing our tech of choice once the cyber core finishes. There we go, warp gate does start up immediately. That's an interesting move here from Art. Because there was no delay, I'm leaning towards a Twilight Council opener, unless we cancel. Interesting here. Meanwhile, Nikich, he does dip in with his Overlord. He does confirm the prioritization of Warp Gate. And again, usually this isn't researched here unless we do want to invest into a Twilight Council. And there it is, Twilight Council opener. Oh boy, I'm getting some deja vu now. Winding the clock back. Remember, the last time we casted these two on Oceanborn, Art went 4-gate Glaive Adept without a Robo into a third base. And he had a pretty good start, honestly. Like, he had a pretty strong opener overall. We'll see if that is the case once again. Ooh, as the Ling does slip in. The wall is not a wall. The Ling slips in, and we're going to get a full scout of what's going on. This time there is a Robo, so it's not going to be the same build. It's not going to be the same build from Art. Glaive's going to be researched. We haven't pulled out a gas yet. We can, so we're going for Dark Shrine. Show us the Dark Shrine. Show us the DTs. Ling goes down. We fake out Glaives. Now we're going for something different entirely. As the Robo is more than halfway done. I would have expected the Dark Shrine by now. So we'll see when it does get thrown down here as we fully roll off. A bit of a janky wall here, unfortunately. Not the cleanest of walls, but we're getting there. It's all good. 4 gates in total. Robo is done. Prism should be on the way, and where's our tech of choice? Is what we have the money for it, 100%. As we threw down, yeah, we did throw down that 4th gateway. Back at home, Nikich going to be joining on up. Interesting. So we're not going for Dark Templar. We're going for a Templar Archive. So this is a similar result. This is going to be a later Archon drop. We're going for an Archon drop here to harass. We're going to have some vanilla gateway units to support as well. A very interesting opener here from Art. Going for a delayed Archon drop instead. And we'll see if we can push through. Back at home, we have a safety spore in between the bases. We have droned up to 37. We're cutting workers a little bit earlier here. We can drone up to around 40. So early worker, just transition here from Nikich getting into roaches. Meanwhile, here comes the push. Here come those High Templar. Your Archons are on the way. We have a couple of Adepts that threaten the shade as well. Again, a very unorthodox, very interesting opener here from Art. Behind this, he should be expanding, but that's 2 more gates. 2 base all in. To throw down 2 more gateways like this to start a +1 range, Immortal production has begun as well. Very peculiar. Prism does get across the map. Yeah, Lings and Ravagers are in position. Archons have been dropped. And we will deal with this. We'll force them back. Good trades overall, but we don't want to lose the Archons, as they will escape. But again, behind this, with 2 more gateways, this looks like a 2-base all-in. Immortal production, we have +1 attack on the way. Even if Art takes an expansion here, which he will be throwing down, I'm curious if this is going to be a real expansion or a fake one. Very curious. So we'll see if Art does saturate this expansion. There we go. Sentry is on the way. Charge as well. Back at home, Nikich is trying to stabilize here, trying to keep up with the Archons. And this is a sign. Still no probes. Like, usually as a Protoss player, the way that you kind of macro is that you would be making workers and you'd saturate. You'd Maynard. You'd like oversaturate the space. When this 3rd base is done, then you just Maynard over it to actually get it up and running. 2 more gateways, 8 gates. Yep, 2-base all in. It's going to be an 8-gate 2-base all in here from Art. This 3rd, I'm not convinced by it. We'll see. I mean, hey, we have 2 probes on the way. True. We are making a handful of workers, but only a handful. Oh boy. Meanwhile, the Archon harass does not stop, continuing to get some damage done across the map. Nothing major yet. It looks like we killed 1 Overlord and 13 Lings. Another Jesus. Another gate on the way. My god. As you can see here, we're building up Immortals. How many Immortals do we have? We have 4 Immortals. This is a hefty army. And we're soon going to be pushing another big warping of Zealots, Archons, and we're going for a big 2-base all-in. It's going to be 9 gates in total, not 8. Again, we barely have any saturation at this 3rd. This is really just for show. And we're pushing. We're committed. Now, Nikich has been joining up to 67. That's a good worker count to stop at. He has Roaches and Ravagers on the way. He does see the army, but that's a lot of charge lots. And a lot of Immortals. Here we go. The all-in is upon us. Bile's going to be connecting. Does connect with the Immortals, but good force fields. The force fields are thrown down. Art making his way towards the 3rd base, and he's going for the kill. Once again, slicing up those Roaches, and so many Roaches are going down. Art busting his way in, busting his way through. As I say that, we have 15 more Roaches in production. Nikich, can he hold on? Can he survive? The base does go down, but again, his opponent is all in. Losing a base does not matter. That's a lot of overlords. As they'll stay breaking through the Immortals in the backline, doing so much damage to the Roach Ravager. We catch the Ravagers, and Nikich, he was caught off guard, caught with his pants down. GG gets called. The 2-base all-in gets out of control, and Art takes game number 1. GG. Again, a very tricky build out of Art, to be honest. Very tricky. Just catching Nikich off guard with a 2-base all-in. He did take a 3rd, but as we mentioned, it was a fake 3rd. It was a fake 3rd base there out of Art. And we'll see where this takes us. See where we go. But yeah, just a fake 3rd base out of Art. Just double down on the all-in, and Nikich was caught with his pants down. Unfortunately, he just wasn't quite ready with his army. If you remember, his Ravagers were still in production as the army rocked up. Unfortunately, he had no Banelings to help deal with those charge loss either. No stack defense. Against an all-in, you do need to take these extra precautions, like either Banelings or even Spine Crawlers. Bring your Queens together as well. It's just a very tense moment, a very intense moment for the Zerg player, and Nikich was caught off guard, and now we're getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the blue Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Art. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing Team Platoon. It is Nikich. Now, I want to believe that we can get to the ace match, and Again, I feel like in a longer game, Nikich is a little bit more favored, has a little bit more of a chance if he's able to get into the swing of things. But it's not on Nikich, it's on Art. It's on Art to really come out swinging here and to even allow Nikich to expand and get into a comfortable position. Hatch gas pull here by Nikich. Art setting up his gateway back at home. Here we go. Art is going to be slipping in with a probe scout. See in chat, live? Yes, live. Papi, live. As Artie slips in with a bit of a probe scout, just trying to get a read of what's going on. Does confirm the hatch gas pull, making sure that he doesn't get cheesed out. That Nikich doesn't retaliate with like an early gas timing or something. So a good scout here by Art. Behind this, just going to be getting into his expansion as well. And basically our eyes are on Art to see what kind of tech opener he goes for. Does he go for another Twilight Council? Does he go for a Stargate instead? Does he even open up Robo like a madman? It's possible. It is possible. As Nikich is going to be getting the space up and running. Oh. So far, just being a bit of an annoyance here at the natural base. Going to be delaying the expansion of Nikich, or just trying to delay the mining. But behind this, ooh, this time there is no warp gate here. So a big tell, no warp gate, which means Stargate play. Stargate is on the way for Art. Is in production. So Art is mixing it up. So far tonight, I've only seen him open up Twilight Council, so I'm happy to see Art spread his wings and fly. Take to the skies, Bob. Take to the skies. Nikich is going to be dipping in for a bit of a scout. Is going to be confirming as well that the warp gate was delayed, so we should be aware of the Stargate opener. This should be oracles, but based on how aggressive Art has been so far, could be something different. Could take a different twist, a different turn into something like Void Rays. But there it is. It is going to be the oracle. Oracle opener out of Art. Everything looking normal. Everything looking standard. Which is still terrifying. It's especially after what just happened. Especially after what just did occur. Nikich behind this, getting up to 3 bases, droning up, getting to link speed, getting into a comfortable mid-game. For the first time. Ooh, this is an early Roach Warren though. 3-minute 30 Roach Warren timing here for Nikich. Against a Stargate opener, you would expect a 5-minute Roach Warren. So this is sub 4 minutes here. This is looking pretty aggressive from Nikich, or overly safe. One or the other. Yeah, we go. We cancel the Roach Warren, go for the Bailey Nest. Makes a little bit more sense here because Nikich is amassing lings, by the way. He's going for a bust. Uh-oh. Art is in the dark. He has not seen the tech of choice. Nikich gonna be doubling down. He did squeeze out a couple of workers, that is true, but he's still just amassing lings and pushing out across the map. Back at home, Art getting his third base, went for an Oracle into a Void Ray. Interesting opener. Following it up with more Oracles. But here we go, the Bane Bust is upon us. Nikich, it's his turn to go all in. It's all or nothing for our Red Zerg. As we head across the map. So far, the wall, we don't even need the Banelings, we just bust into the natural base. The wall is not a wall. And probes are going down. We go first around here on the pylon. Oracle is going to be helping. Do activate the pulsar beam, the lings are going to be shut down. The pylon does survive. Likewise, good positioning here in the main base, minimizing losses. Only 3 probes have gone down. Good defense so far by Art. At the same time, lings, they crash into the third base. There's a Void Ray to defend. There is a Void Ray. Shield battery goes down, but we're bleeding out a lot of lings. So far, this has not been worth it. Lings in the main base still racing around, trying to find a way in. Lings here at the third. They take down the shield battery, but that's all they get. Only the shield battery. And Nikich still isn't droning, by the way. It's still just massing lings. There we go. 2 drones on the way. Can he get a kill? Can he at least bring down the third base? I'm not sure if he can. He wants it. He wants the third. Goes for the Stalkers. But they slip away. One Stalker goes down. Tries to get us around here on the Adepts as well, but these have... this is just not good enough. How many Lings have fallen? 61. 61 Lings go down, and just like that, Art, he defends. He protects his natural, his third, and his main base. Oh, I spoke too soon. Gets a probe. One extra worker. But things are looking bleak here for the Zerg player. Nikich back at home, desperately droning up. Droning up heavily here. Getting into his lair. His lair is delayed. Getting into his roach production, his gases, Evo chamber. You can see that the drone count is looking decent, but the Oracles, they get across the map. They're out of energy, though. Thankfully for Nikich, they're out of energy. As they do race back home. But behind this, Archie's building up towards how many gateways? 9 gates. Jesus, 9 gateways. Charge on the way. Something that I've noticed is, once again, Art is not saturating this third base. It is not being saturated whatsoever. We have droned up to 9 workers here at the third. We're going all in. We're going for a big 9-gate charge all in here. On 2.5 bases. And Nikich has been droning. Heavily droning to catch back up. His army is lacking. No roach speed, no +1 range. He's vulnerable right now. And we're pushing it. Here we go. As Art, he is busting on forward here. He catches the roaches off guard. The Ravager goes down. The Queens are not quite ready for this either. And Art, he may have just found the sweet spot here. Again, Nikich, he was heavily droning to catch back up. Little did he know that there was an all-in coming his way. The roaches kiting their hearts out. And hey, we are running out of Zealots. No War Prism. But the reinforcements, they're waddling across the map. Not like this. As Nikich is going to be able to hold on to his natural. Roaches are amassing. Nikich, he's holding. He is barely holding on here. Void Rate going ham. The Oracle's going to be coming in. But they are still out of energy, and it looks like Nikich, he can barely hold. He does hold on. He's going to be losing his 4th base, but he saves most of his workers. That's what's important. Nikich will survive. And will force back the army. Again, a big part of this is that there was no robo, no way to reinforce across the map, no proxy pylon. Reinforcers, they just took so long to get across the map. And now suddenly the pendulum is swinging here in favor of Nikich. We have some decent force fields, but Nikich, he can take the fight. The force field is working against the Zealots. They do work against them. Nikich just started stepping forward here, focusing down all these Zealots. And he is barely going to be able to break through and get on top of the sentries. And what does Art have left? Nothing. He has no tech. He was all in. Boys are being pulled, and it's barely not going to be enough. Good target firing there out of Nikich. And we are going to the ace match. We are tying things up. GG gets called. Nikich takes game number 2. GG. GG, well played. We are going to the ace match. We're going the distance here. Vamonos. Let's go. Let us go. And honestly, I was really concerned. Like, things were looking pretty good for Arts. The downside, of course, was that it just took so long for reinforcements to get across the map. I liked the idea of the all-in. I did like it, but without a robo, or at least without a proxy gateway, it just took so long for those zealots to come in, and it meant that Nikich, he had time. He had time to build up his reinforcements, to come in with those roaches, and to survive. GG. Well played. With that, we are getting ready here for our next game, for the ace match between these two lovely players. Lobby's been made, the map has been chosen, we are getting into hard lead. Let's go. Let us go. In the chat, These are GMs? Yes, yes, these are GMs. These are some of the best that Europe has to offer. I would say probably top, what, 36? Top 36 in the EU? Top 40, maybe? I'm comfortable saying maybe top 36 to 32 even. Some of the best in Europe. Let's go. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardlead, we have our blue Protoss player here representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Art. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing Platoon. It is Nikich. Tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. I guess if you maybe don't watch too much StarCraft, maybe you're unfamiliar with these players, but both Art and Nikich has been competing for quite some time. Again, they're comparable to players like Young Yakov, to Strange, for example, Wayne. I mean, they're all competing in the same league, and we have been seeing quite a lot of upsets and quite a lot of ace matches as well. So, I know a lot of eyes are on like the top, the upper echelon, like the top players in Europe, but this is kind of like the step below that. Step below that. Again, very active players. Very much so. We do cast them quite frequently. Here we go. This Arch is going to be dipping in with a bit of a probe scout. Once again, confirming the opener. Hashgas full standard opener at a Nikich. And this Arch getting his natural base up and running. As really my eyes are going to be on Art. Like, it feels like he's been the one dictating the pace of the game, both in Game 1 and in Game 2. We've been seeing some pretty aggressive builds out of Art, some pretty hefty 2-base all-ins with fake 3rd bases, essentially. It makes sense. As I said before, this is a rematch. We did see both Art and Nikich face off earlier. We did see them face off in the first round. And in a longer macro game, Nikich was the one that came out on top. Did come out on top. So Arch clearly wants to avoid that scenario, clearly wants to get into a longer game. Oh, sorry, get into a shorter game and avoid a longer game. We'll see if that is going to be the case. As once again, we do not delay the warp gate, and we have a Twilight Council opener. Now, we've seen a couple of different variations. In Game 1 of this series, we saw this lead into a Templar Archives, into an Archon drop. Of course, we've also seen Glaive Adepts out of Art as well. But there's so much more available. We can go for a Charge all-in, we can go for Dark Shrine into DTs. What do you have available? And even if it is Glaive Adepts, there are different variations. There's 3-gate, 4-gate, there's a 6-gate all-in. There's 4-gate Glaives into DTs. Robo is on the way. Overlord's going to be zoned away. And behind this, we have not pulled out a gas. Interesting. Without pulling out of gas, I'm curious as to where this leads us. We could be going for another Templar Archives. That's kind of the read that I'm getting here. Otherwise, we would have already seen the Glaives. Like, Glaives should already be researched at this point, or being researched. So I'm feeling another Templar Archives at this point, as we're getting up to 4 gates once again. 4 gateways on the way. Behind this, Nikich just going to be droning, saturating his bases. Still is unaware as to what's going on. Did confirm the warp gate timing, that is true, but outside of that, hasn't seen too much else. There it is, War Prism is on the way. And show us the tech. Show us the Templar Archives, and there it is. Templar Archives is in production. So as we mentioned, this is the same build that we saw in Game 1. This is how Art was able to win and take a lead in the series. So again, this is a really unique opener. The way that this works is that we're going to be having, of course, our Archons from map control. We're going to be able to shut down Overlords, able to shave off some Lings, and eventually get into our 3rd base. Before that occurs, though, we do have some Lings harassing this wall, and we can bring down the Stalker. So close. Stalker does go down. Good pick up here by Nikich. Behind this, the 3rd base is getting up and running. Going to be joining on up, getting into Roach play. Nikich cutting workers quite early on here at 37 once again. He's getting ready for potentially DTs or even Adepts. That's why the Oracle has arrived as well. As we can see though, it's going to be Archons. And just like the last game, transitioning into a Forge for +1 and Charge. Oh. Decent engage from those Lings. We do back off. At least the Archons have been confirmed. Queens are in position. Oh! Oh my god. As we get a couple of hits in, but the Prism does survive. Behind this, Overlord comes in for a scout, does confirm the researching Forge and the Gateway Explosion. It's going to be 6 gates in total. Now, if this is going to be the same build, we should go up to 8 gates. I think, well, sorry, 9 gateways in total. In game 1. And did lead into an all-in. As the Prism is forced back, we can see Nikich being as active as possible, looking for that third. Hoping to deny it. Speaking of, the Walnut Warthelings, they flood in! The army gets out of position, the Zealot goes down as well, boys are being pulled, the Immortal looking exposed. Nikich has a lot of potential for damage, and he will get us around. He will get on top of that Immortal, but the force fields are quite good here as we can barely save it. Yeah, we barely do save the Immortal. At the same time, Roaches are being knocked down. We do get 7 probe kills, which is good. Getting up to 8, getting up to 9. But this was a costly trade. 10 probes go down. It was 10 workers for 37 Lings and 5 Roaches. It's quite a trade. Did get an Archon at least. Behind this, RT is getting his third base up and running. Going to be saturating his natural. And I'm curious, do we go for a longer game or do we go for an all-in? What do you have for us, Art? Behind this, a blind spine crawler. I mean, Nikich, again, he did die to the all-in in game 1, so blindly going for the spine crawler, going to be joining up. Getting into Roach production. Very safe play here at a Nikich. +1 is done, +2 is on the way alongside Charge. Really, what I'm curious about is how many probes do we make? Last time we cut workers at 49, if you recall. It's 49 probes for Arts. We'll see if he probes up any more. Gets an Overlord. I don't see any probes in production, by the way. Oh, is there? Okay, there we go. There we go. 2 more probes in production. We are saturating this base. On top of that, we don't really see as many gateways as we did before. It's only 6 gateways, but I spoke too soon. It was only 6 gateways. But now we throw down another 2. 8 gates in total. We're barely saturating this base, making a handful of probes. We're getting there. We are making 3 probes at a time. I'm not gonna lie, based on how these probes are being made, it almost feels like Arch is like begrudgingly making these workers. It's like he doesn't want to. He's like, fine, I'll make a probe here and there. I'll squeeze out a worker. Gas is being taken. Arch does have an economy. And he is probing up to 3 base saturation. Yeah, getting up to 56 workers. How many mortals? 5. Yeah, it's going to be an all-in. Because there is the 9th gateway. It's going to be a 9-gate all-in here from Arts. How many immortals do we have? 5. There's so many immortals. It's going to be 6 immortals here. It's going to be a death ball of an army. Hitting with +2. Now, this time you can see that Nikich is much better prepared. He has spine crawlers. He has banelings ready as well. Another gate is on the way. +3 attack does begin. I'm curious. So with the hallucination, with this hallucination, Art, he just saw the banelings. Upon seeing the banelings, it's very possible that Art, he may be trying to drift away from this. He may have lost a lot of confidence in seeing that army. And he may try to go for a longer game. Prism drop moving out towards the left-hand side. Again, this lack of workers here is really hurting our. Like, we should see a 4th base by now. 100%. Like, 2 minutes ago, we should have seen the 4th base, but there is none. Like, it's very middle of the road here from Art. And he's still amassing his army. Like, I do believe that the goal here for Art is that he's hoping that Nikich over-drones. But Nikich has an army. Like, he's ready for this. the longer this goes on, the better it is for Nikich, because he has 72 workers, 4th base up and running, soon to be a 5th base, plus on range finishing up, Bailey's speed as well. Art is taking a 4th, but a very late 4th here for Art. He still has a turret fight. 8 immortals! He has 8 immortals, that is insane! About to have 9. Here we go. We're getting ready for our move out. +1 shields just finished up. And here we go. We see Nikich going to try to engage. Good force fields. Does slow down the army. Bailey's they crash into the sentries. A couple of Archons as well, but based on how many mortals there are, we have to back off. We have to retreat. We have to respect this army. Again, 9 immortals. It's like the anti-roach army. We need to reinforce with Lingbane. There we go. Lings are in production. We have to retreat. We may have to give up this base. This hatchery may just go down. I was going to be forcing this back. No more force fields. We're getting on top of the Archons. Getting on top of some of the Immortals as well. Zealots are busting in. Baileys have arrived. They're going to try to trade here, but we need Lings. And without any Archons, without any support, these Immortals, they are so exposed. Immortals on their own, they do nothing. Especially against Ling reinforcements. And we are getting on top of this, collapsing on top of this. 4 Immortals survive. We are forced to recall. Ooh, at the same time, though, we're getting damage done. 13 drones go down, and the Hive. Big pick off here. Massive warping into the main base. Arch is still in this. He saves his Archons. He snipes the Hive. Nikich again is reinforcements for quads. And now Nikich, he's in a rough position here. Art has a comparable army. Sorry, he has a comparable economy is what I was going to say. He's on 58 workers. Gonna be Maid-Eyeing over as well. And we are still on 5 Immortals here. With +3 about to finish. We are still producing nothing but Immortals, by the way. It's crazy. But this is kind of working. It's disgusting. It's crazy. I mean, kind of. I mean, if Nikich is able to get his bases back up and running, then he should be able to stabilize. He should be able to. Nikich has an economy to work with. He had an economy. To be fair, Nikich, he hasn't redroned. File's going to be connecting. Roach is going to be picked off. So File's once again to pick away at the army here. But unlike before, Nikich, he had over 70 workers. Now he's down to 60. He hasn't been redroning. He's trying to force the issue. But the Immortals bully this back. At the same time, a big Zealot counterattack. We're getting into the mineral line, and Art, he is breaking through once again. Forcing everything back. Again, there's very little finesse with the army of Art, but like he's making it work. He's just brute forcing this game here. As Zealots get into the mineral line here on the right-hand side, Zealots are pushing in on the left. And Immortals will retreat. But he gets 12 worker kills. Nikich down to 47 drones. And he hasn't been redroning. His economy is in shambles. Nikich, he can't sustain himself. Not right now. He needs to redrone. There we go. 9 more workers on the way. But behind this Art, he's just building up even more Immortals. Why not? Well, you know what I want with this? All I want is like a couple of shield batteries. Like this base feels so unsafe. Like I feel naked watching this. Especially with the creep touching tiffs here. Essentially touching the fort. It's crazy. No shield batteries, no overcharge. Like I feel so uneasy seeing this position here. But I mean, Art, he's holding on. Ooh, just take some blasts to the face. We'll lose an Immortal. The other big thing, of course, is the lack of War Prism. The War Prism harassing instead of with the main army, so we can't juggle. We can't keep these Immortals alive. Is concerning. Catch some of these Zealots. Catch Art off guard. A couple of Zealots go down. The Prism going to be meeting up with the main army. The Vials will connect. Good damage being dealt here. We bring down another Immortal just with the Vials. The hatchery falls. This is getting very scrappy. Forced to recall once again. Oh, the Archon goes down, and Nikich, he is remaxing here with Roach Ravager. That immortal count isn't as high as it once was. We are down to 3 immortals. Not 9. Not anymore. And it looks like Nikich, he has done it. He is breaking through. Yeah, no shield battery, no overcharge at this base. We cannot hold on. Are just bleeding out far too much. And this base is going to fall. Not like this. As we have a handful of immortals remaining. But Nikich, he's actually snowballing out of control here. There's a shield battery at the 3rd, to be fair. Do you have the overcharge? You have to respect it. Behind this, Nikich trying to saturate this 4th base, trying to get his economy back up and running. It's so messy. This is still up in the air. A couple of rages get filled up. It will be forced back though. Nikich will just race back home, licking his wounds. Art did lose his base, so even though Art has a better worker count, which is true, like Art, he has, what, 56 probes? He can't mine. He can't mine efficiently here. He doesn't have a 4th base to take advantage of his worker count, which is why Art cannot actually remax. He can barely remake his army. He's on his last legs. Nikich just has to survive. Easier said than done. Art does force his way through, getting himself some of these morphing into Ravagers. But the files will be connecting. They take down another immortal. Boys are being pulled as well. And Nikich, he will clean this up just barely. Had to lose another set of 10 workers. But GG gets called, and Nikich will hold, will survive, and will advance on out of Group B. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Nikich alongside Wayne. Nikich will be advancing on into the round of 8. Congratulations. My condolences to Art. A really interesting playstyle. Again, I haven't been able to cast Art too often and too much, but was terrifying. Was a terrifying player, and I was feeling so off balance watching a lot of those matches and seeing how a lot of those games were being played out. And GG, congratulations. Congratulations there. Congratulations to Nikich for advancing on. Nikich, even. And we are slowly wrapping up our matches. We are wrapping things up.